Ohai. Kraslava, the city in the southeast of Latvia on the bank of Daugava, the administrative center of the Kraslava region. I received the status of the city in 1923. For January 1, 2019 in the city lived 6981 persons. The pioneer settlement near present Kraslava arose in the Neolithic era. The 2-4 millennium BB. On the bank of Daugava near Shkershkin and remains of settlements of the Stone Age were found in Adamav at excavation. And is slightly later in Adamav, Samoshik, Ishburik, Pundurik and in other places, burials of ancestors from the Iron Age. In the 2-3 millennium BB there lived Finno-Ugric tribes, later, Balts from whom in the 8th century of our era Latgala were allocated. In the neighborhood of the city there are archaeological sites, ancient settlements Solskons, Dubovka, Robeznieki. In 1934 on Soliskons the treasure of the 10-11th centuries. Bronze and iron necklaces, fibula, pendants, axes, tips of copies. And in 1936, a treasure of silver jewelry of the 9th century was found. According to one of versions, the city received the name on behalf of Rognida, Borislava. What it is mentioned in comments on Kraslavlia the Strukov's review in 1864. In the same place it is told that the Princess Rognida, the daughter of the Polotsk Prince Rogvolod, was in the 10th century a ruler local the district. There is also a legend that on the present theatrical mountain there was Rognida's lock from which by the time of Strukov's travel, 1864, there were ruins which it displayed in the picture. In fact the name of the city from a Gudronim Kraslava, inflow of the Daugava River, which corresponds to an Indo-European basis *clue, *shrew in value, leak, current, stream. Approximately till 1239 the Kraslava region was included into the Drevnolatgolsky Ersiksky Principality in which Vsevolod governed. It, also as well as Kukinovsky Principality. To Koknesa was in vassal dependence on the Polotsk Principality. Daugava is called by Dwina Flu, Dumbrich modern Daugavpils, a near border of Grand Duchy of Lithuania. Now Belarus. Towards Dria. Verkhnedvinsk. Polotsk. Are specified 2 locks. Dedina near the location of modern Kraslava and unsigned on border corresponds to Drua. In the 13th century the territory turned into submission to Crusaders, as well as other lands of Latgal. In the beginning it was taken by an award of sword-bearers, and after his defeat I submitted to the Livonian award. In written sources the first time it is mentioned in the 14th century when here the strengthened warehouse for the Livonian award located on the present theatrical mountain was constructed. In 1558 the master of the Livonian award Furstenberg transferred Kreslai to a flax to the vassal Engelbert Plumper. On the vast majority of cards of this period of the city, Kreslava, Dinaburg and all adjacent settlements are noted on the left side of Dvina, while at present parts of the cities on the right side of Dvina are most developed. The name Dodina, mentioned on cards and located in close proximity to Kraslava, is mentioned also in the book Philippi Cluverii, Introductio in Universam Geographum tam Vitarum quam Novum, 1697, where the geography of Livonia is described and Dodina, as her one party with which she begins, is specified. In 1559, Ivan the Terrible captured Dinneberg. He put the Dinnebergsky voivode of the local nobleman Ludwig Plater. During the Livonian War, during truce of 1559, the Livonian Landmaster of the Teutonic Order Gotthard of Kettler, under pressure of war with Ivan the Terrible, signed in Vilna with the Grand Duke Lithuanian Sigismund to the agreement under which the Earthovina ward and possession of the Riga Archbishop passed under protectorate of Grand Duchy of Lithuania. But as soon as troops of the Polish King Stefan Batory approached Dinneberg, Plater opened for them gate, thereby having deserved from Poles a count title and the head Dinnebergski's rank. In 1566, in this territory the Zadvinsky Duchy was formed. Till 1569 the duchy was the province of Grand Duchy of Lithuania, after the Lublin Union became condominium of Poland and Lithuania. In 1569 Kraslava carried over the chancellor of the Duke of Kurland and Semigalija Michael von Brunnow and his successors, that in 1603 was confirmed by the Polish king Sigismund III. During this period, in the 1580th years, in Kraslava the first wooden Catholic church was constructed. Since 1636 Kraslava took over a sort Wolfaf. Jesuit George Leidhausen Wolf, head of Düneberg, Friedrich's father of D. Friedrich von Ludinghausen Wolf, wrote, "I asked that I was sent to India and instead appointed in Kraslava. However, I nothing lost, as I and he found Hindus, as the most part of the population, pagans." In 1676 the Jesuit Jeremiah Wolf constructed a new wooden church for Catholic parish. In 1721 Northern War ended. The Swedish Livonia became a part of Russia, and the Polish Livonia, so-called Influenta Polska, practically all Latgale, remained under control of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. On the place of the former Swedish Livonia, the Governorate of Livonia was formed. Since 1725 Kraslava belonged to Chapsky family. In 1729 Ian Ludovic Plater bought from January Chapsky for thalers to Kraslava 40 yards and 4 stone buildings. The Count January Ludwig Plater, the descendant of that Ludwig Plater who opened gate of Dinneberg for Batory and built St. Pieter's Church in Dinneberg. He was a head of Dinneberg. Same year he moves from the estate in Smol to Intritsa, Mederich, to Kraslava, who belonged to his descendants nearly 200 years subsequently, before alienation of property before World War I. In 1729 the settlement acquires the rights of the settlement, and the Count January Ludwig Plater builds the palace here. His son Konstantin Ludovic Plater was the Mstislavsky voivode when inherited to Kraslava in 1737. He was going to make it the center of all Latgale, intending to transfer all administrative agencies from Dinneberg there. The building of Presentreichstor was one of the first buildings built in 1729-1737. In 1755-1767 the Roman Catholic Church with St. Donat's Kaplitsa, 1818. And an altar with picture, the Saint Ludovic Goes to a Crusade, 1884, is under construction. In 1757 the first educational institution in Latvia, Kraslavsky Theological Seminary opens. In 1754 the Bishop Anthony Ostrovsky invites the congregation of priests founded by Saint Vincent de Paul in the 17th century in Paris at Saint Lazar's Church for the purpose of the management Kraslavskoe of Theological Seminary and also training of priests for local churches. Upon termination of training it was possible to continue education in Vilensky Theological Seminary. To this Kraslava was as a part of the Zadvinsky Duchy, but in 1772, as a result of the first section of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, this territory was a part of the Russian Empire. In 1778 to Kraslava Augustus Jerome Hyacinth Plater. 1750-1803. The younger son of Constantine Plater inherited. He was the gentleman of an award of Street. Stanislav, the gentleman of an award of the White Eagle, the Mstislavsky Voivode. In 1782 the Empress Catherine II sells a large number of the state peasants, and to the Count Augustus Plater 62 country yards were leased. For many decades the tenant cruelly exploited the peasants. Among peasants there were disorders, but Plater, having asked for the help the governor, received an army regiment for their suppression. In 1797 he as the representative of the Polotsk province participated in a ceremony of a crowning of the Emperor Paul I Street. Petersburg. In 1789 the stone building for hospital which became the first in Influentia was built. After the third section of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth Kraslava consisted as a part of Dynaburgsky. After Dwin, the county of the Vitebsk province of the Russian Empire, I had the status of the town. In 1803 dynastic marriage of two ancient rich and powerful childbirth took place. Johann Tadeusz von Syburg married to the Count Mikhail Braun-Plater from Kraslavki. 1777-1863. The daughter and the last representative of the sword Syburgov Isabella Helena. 1785-1849. In 1811 Jesuits transferred the gymnasium to Kraslavka where it remained till 1815. In 1814 opened district school which monks of a missionary award supported. Through Kraslava there passed Napoleon's troops. At the local cemetery it is possible to find a grave of his illegitimate son from the local noblewoman. In 1826 there was a devastating fire after which Kraslavka couldn't be considered as the center of Latvia anymore. In 1829 when we're going to close school, the Count Adam Plater gave the library building for needs of school. However in 1854 the district school was transferred to Rosica. The Orthodox Church was under construction from 1840 to 1859 in honor of Saint Georgy. The church was provided for needs of Orthodox Christians and conservatives. In the territory of Latvia the Russian conservatives who based Old Believers millennia live about 300 years. Officially arrival of conservatives was registered in 1850. In 1852 in Kraslavka 30 inhabitants, 389 big houses, from them -32 stone, factory on processing of skin and a workshop on production of oven tiles were registered. Lien. 1836-1863. And Casimir. Plater were participants of the Polish Revolt of 1863-1864. On April 13, 1863 near Kraslava, the group of insurgents of local landowners, under the administration Plyatarav and Mal, attacked the Russian transport with weapon. Attack was beaten off. During the period from 1870 to 1872, the 27th Artillery Park was deployed in the town. In 1897 in Kraslava there lived 7834 persons. -1513 River. -1874. -4051 persons. December 17, 1917 the Dwin, Lietzinski and Rysitsky counties departed to the Governorate of Livonia, and from December 17, 1918 to spring of 1920 were a part of the Latvian Socialist Soviet Republic. As a result of the civil war in Latvia, with assistance of the Entente, in 1920 the Dwin, Lietzinski and Rysitsky counties were a part of Latvia. The status of the city was received in 1923. The Latinus Jabovsky, 1891-1971, was the first mayor of Kraslava from 1922 to 1926. From 1927 to 1932 Moisey Rabinovich, 1882-1941, was a mayor. In 1922, being the deputy of the mayor of Kraslava, he actively supported assignment to Kraslava of the status of the city. Moisey Rabinovich is also the author of the coat of arms of Kraslava. It is the silver boat with 5 oars on a blue background. 5 oars of the boat symbolize the main nationalities of the population of Kraslava: Latvians, Poles, Jews, Russians, Belarusians. On June 17, 1940 parts of the Red Army entered Latvia. There was a legalization of the Communist Party. Communists of Kraslava actively joined in actions for promotion, organized processions and meetings. The mayor appointed Vladislav Pazotsa. On July 15, 1940 in all Latvia there took place elections to Diet. Participation in elections was obligatory. Among the population disorders reigned. On August 5, 1940 Latvia joined the Soviet Union. The life of Kraslava changed. Nationalization of the enterprises began, the posts were lost by many officials. At schools the organizations of Scouts, the Guide and Maspalak were liquidated. Programs of training changed. Teaching religion was forbidden, names of many Latvian writers and poets were deleted from literature. Entered new objects. Constitution of the Usser, History of the Usser. Founded the pioneer and Komsomol organization, Circles of Atheists. Lists of anti-Soviet elements for deportation to Siberia were made. On June 14, 1941 from Kraslava sent 21 persons, among them there was a mayor of Kraslava Anton Ruskulis with the Y fever. From the beginning of the Great Patriotic War in the first days, Kraslava underwent bombings of aircraft of fascist troops, houses burned, the first victims among the civilian population appeared. On June 25, 1941 to the west of the city. In particular, the Kraslava ancient settlement. Occupied Defensive Division of the 112th Rifle Division. Firm. Of the 51st Rifle Corps of the 22nd Army of the Western Front of the Red Army. From July 1 to July 3 heavy defensive actions are going. Kraslava passes from hand to hand 3 times. On July 4, divisions of the 112th Rifle Division under an impact in number and technically superior forces of the opponent depart to the east of the city. It is depicted that in the evening on July 3 in this area the commander of the German 121st Infantry Division Major General Otto Lanzell, the first German general killed since the beginning of the Great Patriotic War, perishes about heat of fades for Kraslava. In 1994 the son of the General Kraft Lanzell on the place of death of the father established a memorable stone with an inscription in 3 languages: Latvian, German and Russian. To the victims. 1941–1945. On July 27, 1941 from Kraslava in the Daugavpils ghetto more than 1350 Jews were deported. On August 23, 1941 on the western outskirts of Kraslava 200 Jews were shot. In 1942 51 residents of Kraslava were taken out for forced labor to Germany. On the night of July 22, 1944 there was a fight at Kraslava. The 83rd Rifle Corps of the 4th Shock Army of the Soviet troops attacked military units of the German army in the direction of Kraslava. Germans receded, and at 4:30 troops of the Red Army occupied the city. World War II cardinally changed all life of the city to the basis. The old values which divided inhabitants on 2 fronts were crossed up. During war Kraslava not especially suffered, therefore it wasn't necessary to restore the city almost. The first public buildings were in the mid-50s built. The Recreation Center. Now the House of Sport. The building of Party Committee. Now a regional thought. Was equipped sports stadium in the park. In the 1950th years the flax processing plant, 2-storied houses on Moscovitz Street was constructed. Now, Rigas. In the 1960th years production objects were constructed. The woodworking plant on the former Pionirskaya Street, the ESA production base, a complex of agricultural machinery, household, cultural and educational institutions. Zarya Movie Theatre, the new building of kindergarten on the former P. Stutka Street. Now, Rezekins. Department store, the schoolhouse on Rain Street, recreation center and 3 houses near a church. In the 1970th years the plant of powdered milk, the Kraslava branch of Latvia garment factory, kindergartens, high school on the mountain near the Lock of Counts Platerev where now there is the Kraslava main school, several 5-floor houses in the downtown were constructed. The Kraslava Hotel, plant of consumer services, new polyclinic is constructed. In connection with construction of houses old city planning was broken, wooden houses, unique, characteristic only of Kraslava, were demolished or before them multi-story buildings are built. In the 1980th years the new building of the House of Pioneers in the park at the small mill was built, kindergartens, production base of East Electrical Networks on the former P. Stutka Street, and there are a lot of houses. There was absolutely new residential district in east part of the city where once there was an airfield for needs of hospital and where small sanitary planes and helicopters sometimes sat down. The building of High School of Vorovicson on the place of the former airfield was built. The brotherly cemetery of the Soviet soldiers in the park, In 1965, the Brotherly Cemetery of the Victims of Nazism in east side of the city, a memorial of the victims of Nazism on a Grish street and also memorable ensemble to the died Kraslava in the square at the intersection of streets Brivabas and Akplesa was equipped. In the early 90s in Kraslava historical names of streets are restored. There begins work the Polish school, children's art school, the Kraslava television. In 1994 construction of the bridge through Dogava is finished. On May 29, 1994 the first elections to self-government after independence restoration took place. Lists of 2 parties participate in elections, 11 deputies are elected. Yanis Trakam is elected the chairman of City Council. As of January 1, 2015 according to the Central Statistical Office the population of the city was 8,300 inhabitants. The population. For the beginning of year, people. 1989 12434. 1995 12207. 2000 11414. 2005 10556. 2010 9395. 2015 8300. Transport. The railway station Kraslava is outside city line in the territory of the Adrishki Volist. At the moment passengers are transported. Every day the train goes from the Riga Kraslava station at 16:19. Through Kraslava there passes a Riga, Daugavpils, Kraslava highway, Tatarnieki. Border of Belarus. Which continuation is P. Vitebsk, Polotsk, the Begosovo / border of Latvia checkpoint. The regional highways P. Kraslava, Daigda, P. Kraslava, Preli, Madonna and Skrudalians P. Kaplava, Kraslava approach Kraslava. Among local highways it should be noted V. Kraslava is Valta, Sheltova, Aglona. Long-distance bus traffic. The main routes Kraslava, Daugavpils, Riga. Kraslava, Vitebsk. Kraslava, Aglona, Rizekni. Kraslava, Aglona, Preli. Famous natives. Skopitz, Zolman Alterovich. 1917-1984. Is the Soviet mathematician. Diner Setsalia. 1919-1996. The poet, I was born in Kraslava in the Jewish family, I died in Israel. Thylav Yuri. English. Russian, the sprinter, was born in 1950 in Kraslava, the vice-champion of the Munich Olympic Games of 1972. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.